welcome to the final race of the SLR season in Brazil, the Brazilian Grand Prix. And we've got some rain!
Very good.
Oh, God's sake.
Oh, it's the beginning as well.
I knew that was gonna fucking happen.
Oh, no.
Lovely. Yep. You knew that was gonna happen.
Rain for half the race and then it should calm down.
What is up, guys? It is Simba here and welcome back to the channel for some more SLR content. And today this is round 17 for the Brazilian Grand Prix, which was supposed to be the last race of the season, but I'll get to that by the end of the video. But right now we're focusing on both championships.
Oh, I would love that.
Stop the count right now.
And you can hear Medal and Darren joking about in the background as we are on our first lap of the session. Because of the upcoming rain, we've had to adjust the wings a little bit, so we're running a little higher downforce than we normally would if it was a dry race. But so far, it's not been a bad banker at all, as we're about to find out as we cross the line.
Oh, I did a 0.7.
And you can hear me say, I did a 0.7, which is something I wasn't expecting because the lap didn't feel too good, but this one has not started well as we went wide at turn 1.
First sector.
And you can hear me getting really annoyed there. You can hear me say, what am I doing in the first sector, as we are already 3/4 of a turn down, and we did a 0.8 as well. As we go out turn 4, we have a massive moment, and somehow we keep it facing the right way.
I don't know what's going on.
Enough time.
I can't put it together, it's so frustrating because I know if I do like a 0.5, I match my PB, I'm P4.
So you can hear me getting frustrated there as we've thrown away a chance to try and go for a top 4. Our PB was a 7.5. So right now that would be good enough for P4. So we're going to try and get that PB on the last lap of the session as we go into turn 1. This time we turn in a little bit earlier and we nailed the apex. But it's still not great. I mean, that was a lot smoother than last time. But unfortunately for us, we've only gained a small margin on the delta, not even a fifth of a tenth. And you can see that is a high 0.7, which, you know, with slightly lower wings, that would be a low 0.7. So we're already a tenth down on what we can do on such a short track. And the middle sector isn't starting off too well. You can see we go a little bit wide there. And you can see here, we're literally a tenth down. So, especially around a short track as this, that is not great. As we're just driving out of frustration at this point in the middle sector, trying to make up some time.
You're lapsing though.
Yes.
And you can hear me just telling Medal that, yes, I'm on a lap. I'm driving out of frustration as our teammate is checking in on us. As he's currently in P4, we do a much better middle sector, but we're still a little bit down on our brother, Sparks YT15, which isn't great, considering that we have had the edge over him in terms of qualifying pace. But we've managed to make up the time in the third sector, and over the line we go.
Oh well. It's not a 0.5, but 0.6 will do.
So there you go, that was the best that we could have done, a 0.6 in the end, and it's enough for P7, but I think if we really nailed it, P4 was absolutely possible in this one, but not a bad starting position for the race. Me and my bro locking out the 4th row on the grid, which is something that I would not have expected at the start of the season, as we're now going to tackle the wet conditions here, because this is going to be quite important to just get through this phase of the race before we move on to the dry tyres, as you saw the strategy screen. We're going to be under fueling as well, because it's a lot easier to save fuel in the wet conditions, so we can afford to do that. So, parking up on the grid at the end of the formation lap, and we're getting ready for 5 red lights. We all thought this was the finale, but it turns out it isn't. But still a big opportunity to score some big points, because rain can bring unpredictability, especially around this track, which is the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we are underway in Interlagos, and it's not been a great getaway. You can see Griffiths on the outside of us coming through the first chicane, and we just about scraped through there. And you can hear my teammate Medal having a bit of a shaky start there. He's still ahead of us for the time being, as Sem has reconnected into the lobby, and along with Bad Otter as well, as Darren had a collision with us, but he's managed to stay unscathed as well. But through turn 4, Sem is out of the race.
What's happened there?
Sam's out. I love how I've lost the place instead of getting anything.
Oh, hey, Brad. How are you doing?
Love that. Look where Jam is, fuck's sake.
And for the first time, we have actually not been taken out in wet conditions, but you can hear I'm very annoyed because Jaylee Menz, SLR Jam and Griffiths all got past us through turn 4, and we've just lost out against 4 people who were in behind us going into turn 4.
That's similar. I'll let you go because I've got a wing edge. Just go.
Oh,
Fine. Just go.
And meanwhile, our teammate Medal got caught out in the chaos at turn 4, and he's got wing damage, which is really a shame for him because he qualified 4th for this race. You saw him out qualify us by just over a 10th, so you know that's 1 car down already, and he's going to be struggling for quite a while before we get to the dry period.
how the fuck is Jam in 5th?
And there is my frustration already coming out, and we've only completed 1 lap because Jam qualified down in 17th place, and he has gained a bunch of ground already, and we've only managed to gain I think like 1 or 2 places from the start. So very frustrating, and you can see here Elite Risks really struggling with these conditions. He's all over the shop. Out of turn 4, we're going to try and take advantage of it as he's in the party with us as well. He was really unhappy in these conditions, really struggling there as we take advantage of the mistake from the Alpine, and we've got the inside line going into turn 7. We give him just enough space. We went pretty wide there, we give him the respect, and we are up into P5. So the track conditions are shifting towards the intermediates, and we're looking to make progress, but Elite sends it back up the inside.
What are you playing at?
And you can hear me say, why are you fighting? Now, normally I wouldn't ask that, but under this context, he's really struggling, and I'm feeling a lot quicker, so I don't know why he's fighting me there. But yeah, he wasn't really. I was thinking that we would work together, but honestly, that's a bit of a bitchy question to ask when you're fighting someone on track. So I'll put my hand up there as he goes into the pit along with Griffiths, and that is for the intermediate tyres as Jam pitted first, but you can see we're 2.5 seconds behind the Division 2 Ferrari driver who recently won the Div 2 championship. So, you know, we just lost a bit of time for no reason, and we carried on till lap 8. I was thinking that, you know, the overcut would help us quite a lot, because it doesn't matter if you're quicker in these conditions, especially around this track, as it's really hard to overtake in the wet conditions around this circuit. It's already hard enough to do that in the dry, let alone the wet. But we're going to put on the intermediates and see how it goes.
What? That? I don't understand anymore. Got so little grip, even on the inside.
And meanwhile, you can hear my bro Darren. He was running at least, I think, in 9th at this point. Yeah, he's really struggling on the inters. He also made adjustments to his setup as well, and it doesn't seem to be suiting him in the wet conditions, and he made those adjustments for these conditions. Meanwhile, for us, we come out in P7, so we're back to where we started, and we haven't really lost any ground to anyone else, which is good. But the problem is we have lost at least a second to Elite Risks, who is right on the back of Jaylee Menz. But for us, we'll have 1 lap fresher tyres, and we'll be able to push a little bit harder as we adjust to the intermediate conditions. So it's not the end of the world. As you can see, by lap 11 we've caught up to the back of them, and we're within a second.
I still can't help but think I should be ahead of Griffiths by now, but oh well.
So on to lap 12 we go. You can hear me once again voicing out my frustrations from that first lap. We haven't quite managed to get over that yet, and we're still driving with an element of frustration through this race, and that's going to be quite a key theme through this stage of the race, especially as, you know, we're still behind Risks, we're still behind Jaylee Menz. You know, Elite is really struggling.
You're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes.
As Mark Priestley points out that we've got 10 minutes until the rain stops. So yeah, if we can try and get past Elite, who's struggling, and Jaylee Menz, who is in Division 2, but no disrespect to him. But yeah, if we can try and get past those guys, we can definitely try and seal our top 5 finish here. But on to lap 15, we are starting to pick up the pace, and we've finally been gifted another opportunity to pass the Alpine. You can see he was a bit wayward out of turn 2, and through turn 3, we see this. We're using the overtake, trying to force him into a mistake. Going into turn 4, he says here he brakes for the dry, and that's forced him wide. We're having a look on the inside here, and he gives us plenty of space. We just don't go for it. We don't have that aggression or the risk taking to go for that gap. And through turn 6, he shuts the door on us a little bit, And this is getting really, really frustrating as SLR Ham, who is lapping a lot quicker than us in these conditions, is on the back of us now. And this is really turning out to be very frustrating, as you can see here.
Full throttle, like a second before I can. It's impossible to even get the power down.
As you can hear Darren getting very frustrated as he's not enjoying these conditions. As meanwhile, Ham is right behind us and we're starting to get quite frustrated because J.L. Menz, once again, he's just pulling away from us as we're being held up by risks. As you can see there again, he goes wide. But meanwhile for us,
Oh my god, how was that a second warning when I lost the rear?
we pick up our second warning of the race. I can't remember when we got the first one, but we're doing what we shouldn't be doing in these conditions, especially at this stage, as we shouldn't be getting warnings before it dries up, as that will just put us on a tightrope for the rest of the race, as we actually defend the inside line against Ham, but we make another mistake and Ham has a look round the outside. We're just losing our composure a little bit, being stuck behind the Alpine, as now onto the following lap, on lap 17, we're still trying to catch up to risks and try and have another go at the overtake, but we get a penalty.
Fuck off, man.
Okay, we've been given a time penalty. It will go against our finishing time at the end of the race. Get your head down and let's get it done.
Now that is going to hit us quite hard. You know, we're already driving out of frustration and, you know, we're not making much progress before it starts drying up again. So this is going to be quite a tough second half to the race.
Strategy available on the MFD.
You keep judging this race, you haven't done it.
And you can hear my teammate Medal talking to Marsh, who was in the party as well. He's a Division 2 driver, and he's telling him not to judge us because he hasn't driven this race. And I could back that because Marsh couldn't keep his car in a straight line, even on his best day of the week. So, Marsh, shh. Anyway, back with the race. Onto the medium tyres we go. You can hear me just saying, sod it, let's just go for it. And we're going to go on the mediums to the end of the race. We miss our release point, but hopefully we can try and get some pace back.
I was like one lap away from just losing my head completely because I just couldn't
Okay,
do shit.
stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
So you can hear me say there, I was like one lap away from completely losing my head, as we picked up another 2 warnings in between those laps. So yeah, one more warning and it's 6 seconds. But crucially, we are ahead of Midzi, who was in front of us on track. So we're up into P7 and immediately we get accustomed to these conditions. We're a lot quicker than J.L. Menz at the moment. So a lot of people are running different setups, as some people really turned up the wings for the wet conditions, but they'll be really hurt towards the end of the race when it's dry. And now we're trying to make some progress finally in this race. We're going to try and pass the Division 2 champion on the inside into turn 1. Can we get this move done? We leave him space on the outside line, and that is a brilliant move up into P6, and finally we're making progress.
Finally.
And you can hear my relief as soon as we make the overtake. And unfortunately for us, SLR Ham and Elite Risks have done the overcut on us, which is quite ironic because we tried that in the wet phase and it didn't work. But they are squabbling amongst themselves and we are on the warmer tyres. But unfortunately for us, we don't really take initiative here. And what I mean by that is, you're going to see Elite Risks pass Ham on the following lap and he's up into P4. Now, the problem is, we have to keep up with Elite. And the problem with that is, he seems quicker than us in the dry conditions. He raced around in World, WR Legacy Division, which is filled with really, really quick guys. So Elite's pace in the dry is really, really strong. So, unfortunately, we don't have that kind of pace. So, we have to pass Ham as soon as possible. But you can see here, we're still behind the Williams, who is running a higher downforce setup. So, he's going to be really slow on the straights. But, yeah, we have to wait our time to make this move happen. On to lap 24 now, and I've had enough of just being sat behind Ham when, you know, we should be a little bit higher in this Grand Prix. So we're just going to drain the battery and we're going to absolutely send it at turn 1, and that is a dive bomb and a half. I don't usually make those, but we've finally passed the Williams and we're up into P5.
Right, getting on with it.
And you can hear me say, I'm just fed up with being sat behind people who are a lot slower than me, because I felt I would feel quicker than the car in front, but, you know, it wouldn't mean anything, because, you know, you couldn't overtake anyone. So, finally we're making moves, and we're up into P5 in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Elite actually liked the move. He said, nice move, as I made the move on Ham at turn 1. But, unfortunately, Midzi is caught up with us, and his pace is really, really strong as well. And Elite has already got us out of DRS, which is quite frustrating because it seems that we take a step forward and then 2 steps back again.
You've got no straight line speed, boss. What are you doing?
So, on to lap 28 now.
Pass me anyway.
SLR Ham is trying to put us under pressure despite the fact he's got no straight line speed whatsoever. Going into turn 1, he goes really wide, and so do we, and that's going to compromise our exit through turns 2 and 3. And now Midzi is going to be looking for a move as well. So we stay to the middle of the track. As Midzi looks to go through, he passes Ham. We give him the inside line. What are we doing? I don't know what was going through my mind here, as we made that really easy for the Red Bull. And he's up into P5 and he performs a very nice double overtake, but we could have boxed him in. But I think the thinking was at the time, you know, we try and stay within his DRS. We take the same approach as we did with Elite. But knowing that our pace is weaker, we should just try to keep him behind, because this is pretty much the maximum we're going to get. So, yeah, don't know what I was doing there. I'll put my hand up. That was poor racecraft for me. I should have just stuck to the inside line. Meanwhile, we skip a few laps to lap 32 as SLR Jam has been overtaken by Elite, and Midzi already passed him as well, as Jam was running really, really weird wings. He was running high wings in the wet conditions. That's why he was so far ahead of us. But now it's dried up and he is lost out massively due to a massive lack of straight line speed. And
Of course he lets his brother through. Lovely.
and you can hear my sarcasm as Jam doesn't really put up a fight against his brother Ham. And that means Ham is going to stay right behind us until the end of the race. So, yeah. a pretty tough race, to be honest with you. As TMS Sora does an absolute masterclass and wins the Brazilian Grand Prix by a long, long way compared to the rest of the field. What a drive from him to score, I think, his 2nd win of the season, and in his first race back for quite some time. So congrats to him. What a drive from him. Jam ran out of fuel right at the end of the race, so he's dropped down out of the points. But for us, it's been a very, very frustrating race. But it's P5 on the road, and it ends with P6.
That's a frustrating way to end the season, but we'll take P6.
So, race done. It is P6 in the end, and honestly, it was a very frustrating race. P4 was definitely possible. The medium pace wasn't as strong as I thought it was going to be, and the wet phase was just so infuriating because it's impossible to overtake even if you're the faster car ahead. So, a few learning points here from this race. And that is definitely trying to be more aggressive in these changeable conditions. So it's just taking your chances, really. You saw that I let Elite back through the minute I overtook him. I let Midzi through doing a double overtake. So it's just trying to be more aggressive in those tense moments. And the 3-second penalty kind of hurt our chances as well. You know, we would have been 5th if it wasn't for the penalty. And yeah, we were a bit unlucky with track position as well. But decent points from today's race. And I can confirm that the Abu Dhabi race that was cancelled will be the final race of the season this Sunday at Abu Dhabi. So stay tuned for that as we wrap up what has been quite a long season in SLR. But yeah, I think today we were just lacking a little bit compared to the guys at the front. But we go again for one final time on this game. And I hope you guys look forward to it. And that is the end of today's video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more league racing content. We're going to go one more time in Abu Dhabi. So until then, take care. I'll see you all in the next one.